AI coding is taking over the world. Here is everything you need to know. First, what is AI coding? It's the act of using an AI agent to write software. And the reason it's getting crazy popular is because it allows anyone to build anything. In this video, I'll teach you everything you need to know about AI coding to give you an unfair advantage in 2026. So watch until the end. The first thing you have to understand is that we have entered the third era of software. Software 1.0 is writing computer code that's executed on a computer. This is how virtually all of software has been since the 1940s. However, in 2012 came the second paradigm of software, which is where weights, also known as parameters, program the behavior of a neural net. But now we have entered into software 3.0, and this is where prompts, aka plain English, can program how an LLM, a large language model, behaves. And this only really became possible in 2019 with GPT-2. By the way, shout out to Ondrej for this graphic. Now the reason I'm saying all of this is to make it clear that software is evolving. More and more people are building software with AI, and so we have to stay competitive. In the 90s, there were plenty of businesses who thought that they could ignore the internet. And today, there are plenty of people who are ignoring the AI coding revolution. So my message is simple. Don't ignore this massive opportunity. Instead, embrace it. Sit down, push through the friction, and learn how to code with AI. Now, I have to make something very clear. AI coding is very different from vibe coding. And that's because vibe coding has many flaws. First off, let's define it. Vibe coding is blindly using AI without any planning, no review, no process. This results in sloppy, insecure code with endless technical debt. And if you're trying to build software, technical debt is one of the worst things that can happen. It basically means you have no idea what the code is doing, what each file is for, and how the code base is structured. This is why most vibe-coded apps never make it to production. And even the few that do make it to production often don't make it past their initial 60 days, because they are not maintainable and they are definitely not scalable. But AI coding is different. The goal of AI coding is to build serious, scalable, and production-ready software, aka apps that people actually use and that can be developed for months, if not years. And by the way, everything I'm saying is from experience. Over the past year, I've used AI to build an entire startup. Since its creation, it was used by over 60,000 people, and I've scaled it to over $10,000 MRR. So trust me, I've made all of the mistakes that vibe coders make and some. I've used all the AI coding tools you can imagine, and in total, I've spent well over 1,000 hours building software with AI. So when I say that there is a big difference between vibe coding and AI coding, just know that I'm speaking from experience. And by the way, this is how Nvidia, Meta, and Google do it with their own engineers and developers. At those companies, nearly all programmers use AI, over 90%. I think at Nvidia it's 100%. However, they use AI very differently than vibe coders do.
Every one of our engineers, 100%, is now assisted by AI coders, and our productivity has gone up incredibly.
See, most people don't realize that the amount of software in the coming years is going to explode. I'm not talking about like double, triple. I'm talking about 50x, 100x the amount of code that exists today. There will literally be software everywhere. All of us will have personalized custom apps, scripts and programs, AI agents, automations, constantly running in the background, saving us time and working on our behalf. If you think about it, this might be the greatest financial opportunity of all time. Let me explain. This is the chart of the B2B SaaS industry, which by the way, B2B stands for business to business and SaaS stands for software as a service. In plain English, this is how much companies spend on software every year. It's about 230 billion. But if we look on the left, this is how much companies spend on knowledge workers, aka labor, every year. That's about 5.5 trillion. Now, you might be thinking, okay, David, but what does this mean? Why does this matter? Well, historically, software could only take up the software market, right? Code could only do what you tell it to do. But with the era of AI agents, they can do entire tasks and series of tasks, which is a job, right? What is a job? If you hire somebody to do customer support, it is just a series of tasks for customer support, which means that the software market will be expanding to eat up portions of the labor market. Now let me be clear, software is already a big market, right? 300 billion global software revenue per year, a huge market. You can absolutely get very wealthy if you build a great software product. However, 300 billion per year pales in comparison to the 13 trillion per year that is the labor market. And this is in America alone. This is United States only. 13 trillion per year is the total addressable market of labor. And so what we're looking at is quite literally the biggest economic and financial opportunity of the history of the world. So now that you understand that AI coding is the future, let me show you how to actually do it. Now, the first decision that you have to make is which AI coding tool will you actually use? And this is harder than it seems because every week there is a new AI coding tool being released. And so I'm going to show you what I use every day when building my startup, which actually works and which is, I think, one of the best setups that you can have. And I'm going to split it into 3 levels: level 1, level 2, and level 3. Each level gets a bit more advanced than the previous one, but also more powerful. And so let's start with level 1, which is Cursor. And no, this is not a sponsored video. I wish it was. If someone from the Cursor team is watching, let's figure something out. But anyways, Cursor is perhaps the most famous AI coding tool, and there's a good reason for that. And that's because it can do all of the things you kind of need from an AI coding tool. So first off, if you don't have Cursor installed, go to cursor.com and click on download. Double click on the installer and drag it to your applications folder. Then simply open up Cursor, boom, just like that. And the empty screen should look something like this. So then let me open an empty folder, boom, new folder, project, create, open. Now, this is a dangerous step because most people get stuck downloading their first IDE, right? Even the concept of IDE might be overwhelming. Like, what is an integrated development environment, stuff like that. Calm down, take a deep breath. If you can install a video game, if you can install Zoom or Slack or Discord on your computer, you can install a Cursor. Like, it's literally the same, right? It's an application, it's nothing crazy, and you can talk to it in plain English. So while you might not be familiar with the user interface, just download the app, realize that most of the overwhelm and friction you're feeling is just perceived. It's not real. Once you download it, you realize, okay, I can type in, hey, I can interact with it, on the right, there is my files and folders, and you will learn it quickly. Like, literally the first 30 minutes is the hardest. If you can push through that, you're already ahead of 95% of people who will quit before this point. And yes, they do have a free plan, so just click on the download button, go through the steps, set it up, and open an empty folder. Literally, that's all you have to do, because I'm going to show you the rest of it. Now, the reason why Cursor is so popular and so powerful is because it can do everything you need from an AI coding tool. Now, I think it'll be easiest if I just show you, right? So right now we have literally an empty folder, so I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to name it readme.md. This is the markdown file. And then as soon as you start typing, you will begin to feel the power of Cursor. So let's say I do a build idea, and then I want to build an encrypted real-time messaging. And then you can see that the gray text is Cursor predicting what I want to say. And all I have to do is press tab. Boom. And then another suggestion. And I press tab again. This is called Cursor tab or autocomplete. And this is the first of many ways that AI coding is more powerful than standard manual coding. You can literally type anything you want, such as tech stack, and boom, React Native, tab, boom. It literally feels like it's reading your mind. It's insane. But if you think the autocomplete is impressive, you have no idea what's coming, because this is just scratching the surface of what AI can do. Another powerful thing is what's called Command K, right? So you highlight a block of text or code, you press Command K, and then you say, make this a lot simpler and shorter. Hit enter, and Cursor will do exactly that. It will edit only the part that you selected, show you the div, and then you have the option to undo or keep it. And if you click on keep, you'll see that it has made it a lot simpler and shorter. Now, if we were to stop here, we would already have a massive advantage, right? Because Cursor is literally predicting what we want to type, and you can edit blocks of code to fix bugs, to make it, better written, more secure, faster, lots of different opportunities. However, again, we're only getting started, because inside of Cursor, you can do Command I, which opens the main sidebar, and this is the Cursor chat, also known as the Cursor agent, that you can talk to in plain English, and it can edit multiple files and design whole applications. Let me just show you. So here we have literally nothing. So I'm gonna put my cursor right there. Boom. I'm gonna switch to agent mode so it can do edits. And I'm gonna say, update the README file so that it better describes the scope of our application. It should be a web app. The tech stack should be super simple. Let's make it Python only. And it should be a 2-column layout, user A and user B, and it should be an encrypted messaging app. Keep the code base structure simple, but do not code anything yet, just update the README file with this description of the build idea. Keep it concise, write it like a 10x engineer would. Boom. So I just use a tool called Super Whisper, which again, not sponsored, but there is like WhisperFlow, there's many other alternatives. My friend Jack Roberts and Yanis, they're developing their own tool. Lots of great tools from voice to text, right? Cursor even has their built-in button. But basically, now I'm using the Cursor agent to do what I want, right? So I just speak it, not even typing. Typing is slow. Even though I'm fast, I'm doing like 120, which, it's fine. It's like top 1%, but there's people who type at 200, 250 words per minute. Most of you probably type at like 40, maybe 60 words per minute. And speaking will be OP, right? You can speak at 200 words per minute, like I just did. I was speaking very fast, maybe even over 200 words per minute. So what I just did is I just described my vision, and now it executed it for me, so I'm gonna keep it. But this is just a simple markdown file, right? So it didn't really create a code. So I'm just gonna click on this voice input. I'm gonna allow Cursor to use my voice. Now get to work and actually implement this build idea like a senior developer would. The fewer lines of code, the better. Boom, and I'm just gonna send that. So you can just use the built-in voice input from Cursor. It's fine. And now you can see that the Cursor agent begins reasoning. I'm using Sonnet 4.5. Right now, that's one of the best models for coding. You can also, obviously Cursor offers all of them, right? You can also use GPT-5 Codex, which I think is the best model for coding right now, or just the plain GPT-5, or Haiku 4.5 if you want to be faster. Google plans to release Gemini 3 soon, hopefully. Actually, even OpenAI is going to release GPT 5.1, I guess, in the coming week or two. So lots of great models, but honestly, for most apps, it doesn't matter. Just use one of the top models, okay? You can build most apps with most models nowadays. That's how good AI coding tools have become. So you can see that we already have the app. I'm just like that. It was like I was speaking for 40 seconds and the app is finished. It's super simple, and all we have to do is install this. We're using Daphne. I don't know what that is. So I'm going to ask what. I'm actually going to switch Shift Tab to switch into ask mode. So in Shift Tab is one of the most useful keyboard shortcuts inside of Cursor. You can switch between modes. What is Daphne? Boom. So you also want to be learning while you're using AI. That's the main differentiator between people who build something that lasts for months or years, and between people who get stuck because they don't learn and they just blindly clicked accept all. Anyways, let's review this file. Okay, requirements txt. Let's keep that. Next file. This is the server. That's the main file. All right, keep. Next file, and this is the index.html, raw HTML. Okay. Daphne is a SG server for Django. All right. Well, I'm more familiar with Fast API, but that's fine. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do conda list, actually conda env list. Conda env list to list all my environments. Again, if you don't have to worry about this, if this is your main app, your first setup, just install the global dependencies. But I have a lot of stuff in the works, so I'm going to use a separate environment. But that's beyond the scope of this video. But if you want to learn about that, you can literally just ask Cursor, what is conda concept of Python environments? Explain this like I'm 5. And obviously it will answer any questions and help you upskill yourself and teach yourself. Now, as I said, this is only level 1 of what is available today at the end of 2025 when it comes to the world of AI coding. And the biggest mistake that people make after reaching this level is that they do not stay in charge, right? As you can see, what I did, everything I did inside of Cursor, I was the one leading the development. I was the one telling the AI what we should do, the scope of the app, that should be a web app, the UI, it should be a 2-column layout, the tech stack that I wanted to be Python only, and that I want the code base to be super simple. I was the one describing the vision. I wasn't asking the AI, what features should we add, like what tech stack should we use, how the code base should we create a new file. These things might be tempting if you're a beginner, but it is one of the worst mistakes you can make, because when you delegate the decisions to AI, not only will you build a mediocre app, because whatever the AI tells you is from the training data, right? And the training data is just the average of the internet, right? So if you want to build the most mediocre average software ever, please go ahead. But the bigger issue is that you get lost. You exponentially increase the amount of technical debt because you have no idea what tech stack you're using or why. You have no idea how the code base is structured or why is it structured that way. These are the decisions that you have to make yourself. And again, if you don't know how to make them, ask the AI for options. Tell me 4 possible tech stacks we could use for this build idea and explain the pros and cons of each. Very simple prompt. You don't have to be a genius to say that. Same with the code-based architecture, right? How should we architecture this? Should it be a monolith? Should this be broken up into microservices? What would you recommend me to do and why? And even that, even asking that one extra prompt is already a huge difference, because you will learn the art of making choices. In the realm of software architecture, nothing is free. Everything has trade-offs. If you just click accept all and if you delegate everything to AI, yes, you will move faster in the short term. But by short term, I mean in the hour, right? In the current hour, maybe in the next few hours, you will move faster if you delegate everything to AI. But comes the next day, comes the next week, and as I said, you run into the first difficult error that you cannot just solve with a single prompt, and it's game over. You have no idea what the app does, you have no idea which file does what, you have no idea where the functions are, you have no clue which tech stack you're using or why you're using that tech stack. You have no idea how to debug the app, you know nothing. If you behave like a vibe coder and if you delegate all of the decision making to AI. And that's why I call this the biggest mistake, because it really is the biggest mistake. Now, moving on to level 2, beyond cursor. This is the realm of coding agents, right? Most notably, Claude Code and Codex. Now, what coding agents offer is more autonomy. They can, do more stuff on their own. You can run multiple agents in multiple different terminals if you're using the CLI, or in the cloud as well with the Codex, which again, they can do more things, right? Gives you more power, more options. It's always good to have options, And then number 3, they can work for longer. So while inside of Cursor, you ask and it responds right away, usually after thinking for a couple of seconds. With Codex, especially OpenAI Codex, it can run for hours. I think the record is like 7 or 8 hours on a big task. So imagine that, right? Imagine right here in Codex extension, boom, you click on hi, you describe, you spend 5 or 10 minutes describing whatever you want to build, let's say a new major feature or refactor to another language, whatever. And then you leave for 5 hours and you come back and it still does stuff. It's like it can work on hundreds of files. It can do a lot, right? So this is the power of coding agents. They are a bit more complex, but they are a lot more powerful. So I guess there's 3 main paradigms. You have the extensions. So for example, this is the Claude Code extension and this is the Codex extension. Both of them you can download by going to extensions and typing in, Claude Code. Boom. Claude Code by Anthropic. There it is. Looks like this. Or Codex, which looks like this. So just click on that and then obviously install the extension. Very simple. If you get stuck at any point, ask Cursor, ask ChatGPT. It's not that deep, guys. Use the AI to get you unstuck. Do not take any errors personally. Just take a screenshot of your screen. Say like, boom, there's a screenshot, copy that, paste it in. Okay, actually, this is actually the Codex. So let's say we're here, a new chat. Say, how do I install the Codex extension here? Help me, please. I am total beginner to this. Enter, and if you say you're a total beginner, it's going to give you clear step-by-step instructions how to do this. But anyways, the paradigm of extensions is one of the many paradigms, right? We have Codex, we have Claude Code, we have Kilo, Code, Klein, many great extensions out there. Then there's the CLI, which stands for Command Line Interface. And this is if you prefer the terminal, right? But if you're a beginner, the terminal might scare you, but you can just type in Claude, once you have installed it and just like run Claude Code in the terminal like this. And the power of this is that you can just launch multiple terminals, and in one of them you can run Codex, for example, boom. Right, you can do a lot. And let's say you want another one, you want another Claude Code doing something else. Boom. You can say like, explain to me RESTful APIs, right? Maybe this one is like coding, this one is explaining, this one is doing debugging, whatever. You get the point, right? So this is another way to interact with AI agents is through the terminal. And then the third paradigm is the cloud. This was pioneered by OpenAI with the release of ChatGPT Codex, where you can have it, do many things. You can like launch 15 different tasks and you can say like, update the UI of this component or add another unit test in this folder. And you can just deploy these, boom, and it starts running in the cloud, OpenAI's cloud. It's not running on the computer. This is completely asynchronous. And the beauty of this is that it can work on many different things at once, right? So again, I have plenty of videos just on that, but that's another way to interact with these coding agents. Now, basically every tool that has the CLI can be turned into an automated agent that runs in your CI/CD. Again, this is way past this tutorial, but you see like, for example, the Cursor bug bot automatically finding bugs and reviewing pull requests. And they actually built it inside of Cursor. So you can, when you have a link GitHub repo, you'll see a button to check your code and find bugs. But the beauty of this is that you can run these AI agents inside of your CI/CD pipeline so that they find bugs before code goes into production, right? Another thing that vibe coders never do, They don't even have a CI/CD pipeline, right? Which brings me to level 3, and that is human in the loop. Level 3 is when you're actually using the AI to learn and upskill yourself. It is not just using Cursor or just using Claude Code or Codex. Level 3 is when you are doing actual learning yourself, right? When you're forcing yourself to learn and upskill yourself as you're using AI to write code. Now, this is obviously the hardest, but this is the most rewarding because the AI progress is already exponential, right? Now, imagine you add another exponential on top of that, which is your own progress. Now, don't try to do what the AI is great at, right? Like memorizing syntax and like doing pointless stuff. Instead, you should understand the fundamental concepts of software engineering. What is a database? What is a server? What is an API? Now, actually, there's a great video on this that goes over 30 concepts in software engineering or system design that can explain them very simple, plain English, and it will teach you what is a client, what is a load balancer, what is a database. And this is exactly what you should do, right? So instead, you should learn the complementary skills that the AI kind of sucks at. Obviously, if you ask it like what is a load balancer, it can answer it, but it's more about knowing these concepts intimately so that you can choose, okay, now we should use Redis cache to speed up the queries because there's a lot of data that's being read frequently and it doesn't really change, so let's implement cache, it's going to be much faster. That is a decision you have to make as a human. The AI, it's not going to make that decision ever because contrary to popular belief, contrary to what all the doomers think, AI doesn't have any goals, right? This was coming from my head. I gave it the idea to build this. It didn't get that initiative to build it. AI has no goals. It doesn't have any purpose. It just does what it says. LLMs, large language models, are next token predictors, right? So what that means is like if you put shit tokens at the start, meaning if your instructions are terrible, the outcome will be terrible. And that's why most vibe coders get stuck. That's why they never build anything that other people use that makes it past the MVP fancy demo stage because they simply aren't willing to learn a few basic concepts, right? Like this is the perfect example of how you should learn. You should try to get a broad understanding of all the different concepts of computer science. What you shouldn't do is memorize syntax, right? Like you can spend endless hours just reading the Python docs, just browsing through this, memorizing syntax, stuff like that. And to be completely clear, there is time and place where you should check the documentation, right? But what I'm trying to say is that the AI is good at something while us humans are good at something else. The AI is good at writing lots of code, being very efficient, summarizing, solving problems that have already been solved many times on the internet. But the AI is terrible at creating unique ideas, at knowing how your app is going to be used, right? At having taste or judgment. It's absolutely terrible in those regards. So that's where you should develop an understanding. You should go beyond just blindly trusting the AI and actually learn the fundamentals of computer science, learn software design, learn how to architecture code base, learn system design, and try to get this high-level understanding of what is happening, what are all the options, what are the main programming languages, what are the main frameworks, what are the main database types, so that when you use all of these AI tools and all these AI agents, you can move infinitely faster than a typical vibe coder that has zero knowledge of anything apart from like how to use Windows. Maybe apart from that, Android and iOS are two different operating systems. That has zero technical understanding of anything and is just swimming in confusion and swimming in technical debt. And so here you have it. Here is everything you need to know to get started with AI coding in 2025. And obviously stuff is changing. So if you want me to make a video on this again, because 2026 is right around the corner, comment below AI coding and I will make more tutorials like this one. With that being said, thank you for watching and have a wonderful rest of the week. See ya.